He knows that from experience. Darwin must be the worst place in all Australia to keep anything without it getting damaged. But that's where Zak is serving his life sentence. Wall says he's not making excuses for his son, just explaining why Zak seems so angry. Zak phoned his father from the city's prison, which is a few k's outside the parts of Darwin most people visit. You turn left off the Stuart Highway just past the Big Four Howard Springs holiday park. They're allowed to watch TV in there, Wall tells me, and Zak had seen me talking about his case on one of the evening news shows. I got invited to go on television because I'm a crime reporter, and had spent a few months looking at Zak's conviction, including publishing an open letter to the Prime Minister and the Administrator of the Northern Territory, which his mother Glenys had dictated to me over a cafe table. Her letter said even the judge had found her son wasn't physically present when the murder was committed, that he didn't do it, and all Zak was really guilty of was failing to make a phone call to the police to shop his mates, when he himself had pulled out. Instead, Zak had gone home to bed and slept, trying to forget what it was his mates were doing that night. I'm a mother who's looking for you to find some sort of mercy, Glenys dictated as I typed out her letter. I'm appealing to you as a parent, as a father. How would you feel if this happened to your child? What would you do? I need your help. Please help me. Zak had spent years stuck in prison by this time. He'd appealed against his conviction and failed, meaning he had little to no chance of securing his release through the courts, despite his claims of innocence. He was starting to lose hope in prison, Glenys told me, with wide, pleading eyes as we sat at that cafe table. Being inside had changed him, she said. Her son was lost inside the prison system, just one of over 29,000 prisoners across the country, a number that's increasing daily, so fast the government had to build an entire brand new prison complex in the Northern Territory so that they could hold them. Zak had ended up there. The place was the size of a city suburb, and still it was full to bursting pretty much from the moment it opened. After we published Glenys's letter in the newspaper, the Northern Territory Administrator said he would consider releasing Zak from prison early, using a power called the Royal Prerogative of Mercy, according to which the British Queen was able to overturn a prisoner's sentence in Australia, her colony. This was what Glenys had hoped for. The administrator was the Queen's representative in Darwin. He lived in a fine white house overlooking the water and surrounded by palm trees, and it was his job to carry out all the Queen's wishes. I was feeling pretty clever about that mercy announcement that night I went on television. For Zak, any actual release was still a long way off in the future. The lawyers would have to get involved now to petition the administrator to decide in his favour. But still, it was something. A light in the darkness of Zak's jail cell, I told myself. I might win an award for my reporting. Only, when the news programme had finished, Zak called his dad to complain that no one who was on it knew anything. None of us had been there that night, 6 years before, when Ray Nichiforo was murdered. None of us knew the people involved or what had really happened. The TV producers had also used old footage of Zak after his arrest, walking to the courthouse, a low, salmon-coloured building made of blank walls and hard edges like a child's drawing. Zak was wearing a pale purple shirt, open at the neck, with his sleeves rolled up and the fabric sticking to his skin in the heat, and his forehead was prickly with sweat. He looked his age, or at least the age he was back then, 19 years old, right on the cusp of becoming a grown-up. Kind of handsome, but also very lonely. He was frowning, like he was worried about where he was headed, and had his sunglasses pushed up onto his head, while all the uniformed cops surrounding him had their sunnies down, so you couldn't see what they were thinking. Zak was wearing handcuffs in the TV footage, which made it look like he was guilty. They didn't have to use that footage, Zak told his dad, and he thought that I was piss weak when I'd started talking, explaining how Zak agreed to take part.